This is the overview of the presentation for today. I'll be going through with you what is RITA, what is intensive remediation, and then Hani will take over and speak about behavioral, emotional, social difficulties of our children. And we have 3 case studies to share with you all. Okay, what is RITA? RITA is the Register of Educational Therapists Asia. The purpose why it was formed is to connect practitioners in the field of SpLD. And what we have is that on a regular basis, or at least once a term, we have RITA case management, where we'll invite the RITA members to come in and speak to us, or rather do this type of case study. So during these sessions, we have exchange of ideas on teaching aspects, and we have exchange of ideas on students' issues and possible strategies, solutions to the problem, and gain knowledge from colleagues, fellow practitioners, and allied professionals. So at the end of the day, what we are hoping to do is to have collegial learning to take place. And not only that, with the students, we want to help them as much as we can. We just don't look internally. We also find external sources to get an external opinion to find out how do we help these students with their challenges. So ultimately, we want to help them with their literacy as well as their behavior. So what is intensive remediation? Intensive remediation is managed by the educational advisors. And who are these educational advisors? We are the senior therapists here at the DAS. We help train and guide new ATs, educational therapists for short ATs. And what else do we do? Support ATs within the center. So in terms of classroom management, lesson planning, and also for progress monitoring of our students. So who do we help? Students sometimes face literacy challenges. They struggle with learning. They also might have severe behavioral challenges or either or situation. They might come just with literacy, struggles with literacy, or just have behavior challenges, or sometimes it gets into a double whammy where they have a combination of both. So the educational advisors step in to help these students. What's the implication? So when an AT struggles with a student, they can approach the educational therapist to come in to observe these classes. And upon observation, if the educational advisor will suggest what they can do in the class, changing certain teaching methodology or helping out with behavioral management, and the AT will follow through with these advice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So when it doesn't work, we might have to put them into a smaller class situation. Our ratio here is 1 teacher to about 4 to 5 students. But sometimes these students might have to go into smaller classes, either 1-to-1 or 1 to 2 classmates. And then the AT has to maintain action plans set, and every time they have some action plans, semestral visits are done by the educational advisors to see whether these goals that we have set together, whether they have been met. Currently at the DAS, we have about 50 students, 50 cases that we look at. They are in a 1-to-1 setting or a 1-to-2 student setting. And I'll now hand over you to Hani.
Okay. All right, so how many of you are teachers here? Teachers and parents? Right, so how would you feel if you see your students or your children showing this behavior when you want them to study, or when you want them to do homework at home, or just do classwork in the classroom? Right, most of the time you get frustrated, you feel annoyed, just ask them to do something and they show this behavior. Now, have you ever wondered why they would behave like this? Okay, so sometimes we don't really know the reason why, and maybe the most immediate thought that would come to our mind is that they're probably lazy, have got no interest in learning, no interest in studying, and they would just buy time before they finally get down to do something. Okay, so our topic for sharing and discussion today is on behavioral, emotional, and social difficulties, BESD for short, and I'm going to use the term BESD throughout, formerly known as emotional behavioral disorder or difficulties, EBD. Okay, the term difficulties, disorders are used interchangeably among scholars. So what is BSD? It refers to a condition in which behavior or responses, emotional responses of an individual differ so greatly from the generally accepted norm that they can adversely affect the child's or the individual's performance. The characteristics and behaviors associated with emotional disturbances and behavioral problems may include characters like aggressive behavior, antisocial, distractibility, impulsiveness, inattentiveness, impaired social interaction, poor attitude towards work, teachers and peers, depressed, withdrawn, or mood swings and anxiety. Then most often they also have got difficulty coping with the daily routines. Okay, so BSD can affect children diagnosed with these difficulties or disorders, and those children who suffer from learning disorders or learning difficulties can be at risk or may experience BSD. So in our context here at the DAS, most of our students are diagnosed with dyslexia as well as comorbidities such as ADHD or language impairment. As observed through the intensive remediation cases that we have, BSD has impacted some of our students, and this is manifested in their work and behavior in the classroom. We have got 3 case studies to share with you on the students that have got BSD, that show BSD traits. Okay. So what we see in the classroom or at home is the behavior. However, if we use the analogy of the iceberg theory, what we see, which is the behavior, is only 10%. And this 10% is what the students or the children are communicating with us. Okay, so their behavior is a form of communication to us as the teacher or parent. However, we often see these behaviors, we often see this form of communication as misbehaviors. And because they are misbehaviors to us, we become upset when they display such behavior in the classroom or at home, because these behaviors are deemed as unacceptable. On the other hand, what we don't see are those things that lies beneath, that is the 90% of it, which are the drivers or the causes of those behavior. And students who experience BSD often receive and process information differently, and this is manifested through some of these symptoms. Okay, so what we don't see are students or children going through any one of this, but what they show us are the misbehaviors that they portray. And because behavior is a form of communication, these are the different behaviors that our students can show in the classroom or children show at home. So for many of our students, because of their learning difficulties, their self-esteem and confidence may have taken a beating due to the negative experiences in school, resulting from the difficulties that they face in learning. Hence, children with BSD may refuse or unsuccessfully utilize educational opportunities for them offered to them, and are therefore potentially difficult or challenging to manage, as they may present these kind of behaviors. Okay, so students with BSD to me can be exemplified by this quote here: "The kids who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving ways." And the main focus of our session today is to share with you the case studies of the students that we have who experience BSD. So from here on, I'm going to invite 3 of my colleagues, educational therapists, who will share with you their experiences working with their student. Okay, there are 3 of them. So firstly, I'd like to invite Miss Lin from Tampines, an educational therapist from Tampines, to talk about her student. So I need to use this. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lynn, and I'm an educational therapist here. So today I will talk about my student N. So this is just some information about my student N. So she is currently 10 years old, so she's P4 this year, but she came to me when she was towards the end of 2016, so when she was 8 years old. She's diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, and she's currently on medication for her ADHD. Apart from learning difficulties, she is also observed to have a lot of emotional and behavioral difficulties. So most of the time, she will be very disruptive because of her ADHD, and she tends to disturb other classmates, or she acts very impulsively. So actually, student N has been receiving counseling for a really long time, since this, K1, because of her aggressive behavior. So she has shown this kind of behavior since a very young age. And currently she's also undergoing counseling, receiving counseling for her anger management issues in school. Okay, so some more information, some more classroom observations of student N. So she's often very disruptive during the lessons because she's very easily distracted, and she's very impulsive, and she wants attention. So in a group setting of 4, it's very hard to manage her behavior, because if I'm trying to help someone who needs more help in terms of literacy, she would think that she would get very impatient, and she would think that maybe because she's not good enough and I'm not showing her enough attention. So that's when she starts to become very negative. She will have very bad negative sense of self. So she will say that, oh, I'm bad, that's why she's not paying attention to me. So she will say, I am bad, I am dumb, I want to die. So she tends to do this kind of, she will tend to write such messages on her worksheets. Yeah, so that's the emotional side. So yeah, some examples of what happens in the classroom. Most of the time she's just facing down, putting her head on the table, and she's not really wanting to do work. So yeah, these are some things that happen in my classroom. And sometimes when she's in her emotional state, she will not speak to me at all. So it's very hard for me to get her to engage her in any ways as well. So sometimes we would really just sit in silence, and I'll wait for her to have some time by herself, because to her, she told me once that these emotions come to her. She doesn't know why. There's no triggers, or there's nothing, but sometimes it just comes to her. So sometimes I really just let her sit in silence. And if you look at the bottom left picture, that is actually a corner of the classroom. We came out with a timeout corner. It's more like a quiet time. So she gets 1 minute to just sit in silence and not do work. And she gets it 3 times in 1 hour lesson. So that's her way of coping if let's say she is feeling emotional and she doesn't want to do any work at that point of time. Yeah, so in a group setting, in a 4-student class, it will be a bit hard to juggle in terms of the time of the lesson. So currently she is, some more worksheets. Okay, so these are, if you look at from the left, that's a bad day, and then the most right, that's on a good day. So in fact, she is able to write very neatly. Okay, she can do her work, and she is very keen to learn as well. But on a bad day, she tends to, on a normal day, in the middle, that is how she writes, very messily. And some of the things, so one of the things that she does is, when she doesn't want to talk to me, I get her to write down what she wants to tell me. So in the middle, the 2 pictures you can see, I'm not sure if you can read them, but she's writing, I am stupid, I am dumb, I am bad, I want to die. Yeah, and the bottom one, she's saying, I cannot talk now, I would get more dizzy and more headache. So she says that it's because of her medication for ADHD. Yeah, so sometimes when she doesn't talk to me, I will let her get some time off, so she does not do any work for some time. And then when she's ready, she can produce work that is good and shows that she's learning something. Yeah, so what has been done ever since she came to me? So she came to me 2 years ago, but I only raised up for intensive remediation last year when she got more towards negative. So she started writing very negative notes about herself. So previously she was more disruptive. In a class of 4, it's very difficult to have a lesson, complete lesson. So in a class of 4, I actually have adopted a few. So there are class rules and personal rules. So personal rules are very specific to her behavior. So everyone in the class has a personal rule that they have to stick to, and their classmates will try to remind them of their personal rules. I also had a point reward system in place, but that didn't work out very well because initially she was okay. She would try to finish her task, and then she would get a sticker for that and to get a prize at the end. But there was once when because of her disruptive behavior, she did not complete. And then her classmates completed the point system. So she tore down her reward system and she started going to the negative side. So she internalized a lot of all of her disruptive behavior and say that, oh, because I'm bad, that's why I didn't get what I wanted. Yeah, and then she would start saying that it's because I'm not good enough, and she tends to spiral down in a negativity. So it's quite a struggle to try and find a way to manage her behavior. So it's in between finding a balance between the hard and soft approach. Because if you are too hard on her, she takes it negatively and she will think that she's bad. But if you are too soft, then she doesn't want to do work, or she tends to disrupt or disturb other classmates. Yep. So one of the things that has been working for student N is actually because she likes to write. She likes to write her feelings. So I gave her a personalized diary with her name on it, and for her to write down how she's feeling. So I think that was a good coping mechanism for her, because she is able to write down how she's feeling, and if she doesn't want to tell me, she just writes it and she doesn't have to show me. So she has been doing that for some time, but recently her mom has mentioned that she started tearing after writing. So we may have to find another way for her to express her emotions and for her to express her thoughts. So after 1 year, she is currently in a smaller class setting. She is with one other classmate. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a quiet time. So she gets 1 minute. We actually discussed this and we decided on 1 minute. And she gets to just sit at the corner for 1 minute. And she, when the time is up, the timer will be on, and when the time is up, she would just come back and be on task. So there are days where a bad day will become a good day after the timeout. So I think she really needs that, just when it comes, and you know that because her head is on the table, I will just let her have some time off, and then she'll come back and be on task again. And also a lot of talking. In a smaller class setting, it is more possible to do for me to ask her, why is it you are feeling this way? And for her to recognize that, it's normal for people to have such negative thoughts, but she needs to find a way to cope and express. So in my case, I let her write down whatever she's feeling. Yeah. So currently she has one other classmate. So sometimes it's a juggle, because I have to be very mindful that I'm not spending too much time with the other classmate, because she would think that I'm neglecting her, and she would blame it on herself and say that I'm not paying enough attention to her. Yeah. So it's a long journey, and I'm still trying to along the way try to figure out what's best to help her in terms of managing her emotions, her behavior, and also helping her in her literacy difficulties. Yeah, so that is the first case study, student N.
At any point, if any of you have got questions to ask the educational therapist or the panelists have got anything to say, feel free to do so. I'll pass the mic over.
Hello, I feel really sorry for this girl. Has anyone talked to her parents about the medication? Is it possible that she have her ADHD medication changed? Because it may be that the particular one she takes doesn't suit her. I didn't know whether there was a change a year ago and there might have been a change to the medication then, but if she was able to go onto a medication where she didn't feel dizzy and have headaches, then she might feel more positive about herself and be better able to engage with life altogether.
I think there was a change in the medication. So previously, before she comes to my class, she does not take medication. So it's only during the school time.
So, yeah.
So when she comes to me, she has a very explosive behavior, and then ever since then she changed. So her side effects actually changed quite a few times. So that one, when she was dizzy, it was there was one. I think they changed her medication, and then after that she lost her appetite, and she's always hungry. So it changes a lot, but she tends to say that it's because of my medication.
Yes.
Yeah, but currently the more common side effect that I see in my classes is that she is hungry.
Yes.
Yeah, she's hungry from the medication.
Is she allowed to have a snack?
Yeah, so
That's good. Excellent.
I've spoken to the mom, so she gets a bit of a snack time before my class because she comes straight from student care. So I give her some time to settle down before she comes in.
But I have had children on Concerta, which is one of the ones they give at home, which is a slow release ADHD medication. And they are completely different from any other 7-year-old. They're completely calm, they're completely focused. I haven't met other 7-year-olds like them. So my experience has been that particular one has been fantastic. So I don't know whether it's something that you could continue to discuss with the parents and perhaps see whether eventually they might settle on something which is more suitable for her.
Yes.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to ask a question about the part where you shared about the diary, because you gave her a personal diary for her to write and express her emotions and stuff. So
Yes.
things turned out better because she was able to find a way to channel out her emotions. So then after that, you said that the mom says that she started tearing the pages. So she brings the diary home.
Yes.
Does she?
So initially, when I passed it to her, she wrote it during my class, but she likes it, so she brought it home and she said that I'm going to write on it every day. So I let her bring it home, but so I followed up with the mom, and the mom actually told me that she has been tearing the pages. Yeah, just recently. It happened just recently. So we are.
Okay. I mean, I was just thinking it could be that somebody has been reading her diary. So that possibly be the
Oh,
reason why.
I think the reason why she tears the pages is because she doesn't want to remind herself of it. Yeah.
Oh,
so
so it's not because she doesn't want people to
yeah,
read what
because
she.
her mom actually doesn't read her diary at all. Yeah, but she noticed that she tore it. Yeah, so because I've been asking the mom, has she been writing in her diary? Yeah.
But do you ask the girl whether why?
Oh, I just found out from the recent Meet the Parents session.
Oh,
so
okay.
I actually haven't had a chance to speak to her regarding the tearing of the pages.
Oh, I was thinking you might want to,
Okay.
if you can,
Okay.
find out the reason why she starts tearing out. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm hogging it again. I was talking earlier about stress and dyslexia, and saying there are a number of techniques that you can use, like getting people to think about things that they're good at, things that which will put them into a more positive frame of mind. Have you been able to try anything like that with her, or is that something that you hadn't really thought about?
For her, because I think I always try to encourage her to, because she has a lot of expressive abilities, and also she likes to draw and write her feelings and thoughts and stuff like that. So most of our activities in class have got to do with writing out and drawing, something that she enjoys doing. And also because she used to display a lot of because of her ADHD, when she's outside of her, in the common area, she tends to be very disruptive and disturbing other teachers and all that. So I have actually told her about it, and every time she does sit quietly while waiting for me to come get her, I let her know that this is a good behavior, and I always constantly
Yeah.
try and remind her that she's doing something, because I don't think sometimes she may not realize it. So it's a lot of verbal encouragement for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, positive comments.
Yes.
I think actually you're doing brilliantly with this girl. But I wondered whether one of the things she might try is drama, whether she could act out her anger and her feelings in a positive or neutral environment, without it being something that where she was actually damaging things, but that she could act,
Yeah.
rather than she could write it down and act it out, and that might really quite help her.
Yeah.
I don't know whether anyone else has any.
Actually agree with that suggestion, because in the session that I was in earlier, the breakout session, they spoke about multiple intelligences and how to use that in order to bring out the strengths in children with learning difficulties. So maybe that is something that she would like to focus on for the next term, to focus more on her strengths and give her a more positive way to express the anger through drama, as Professor Fawcett just spoke about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is she still receiving any counseling?
Yes, she's currently still, because, okay, so in school, she's a bit different. She is more of anger management issues. So she always runs out of classes, and she does not, when she has a teacher that she does not like, she would not listen. So a lot of the counseling that she receives in school is for her anger, but in my class, she's more of the emotional side. So yes, she's still receiving counseling, but more for anger management issues, because she tends to be very angry in classes and towards her other classmates. So like breaking pencils and throwing stuff at people, at other classmates. Yeah. So
Okay. Is that on a regular basis, or is that like on an ad hoc basis when she displays behavioral issues, then she will see the school counselor?
no, as a regular basis.
Okay,
Yeah.
because usually besides medication, we would also encourage parents to send a child for like psychotherapy
Yeah.
to help them to cope with managing their emotions. Because children with ADHD, they tend to have difficulties regulating, and for children who are very aware of their feelings, they will feel like ashamed, or sometimes like they know that these are not good feelings that they should be thinking about, but they do not know how to manage. I'm not sure how the school counseling has been going, but sometimes parents may choose to engage an external counselor and see the child on a regular basis, because I think she needs someone to help her to reframe her negative thoughts, which is what you had mentioned, but on a regular basis, because at the end of the day, what you can do within the classroom is to help to manage the symptoms and to ensure that the environment is conducive enough for her to learn. But for her behavioral issues, she needs someone who can work with her on a regular basis, be it like or how to deal with her anger. Can she express it in a more healthier manner? For example, like drama or drawing. I don't know why she's tearing out the pages. It could be that she knows that these are not good feelings and she is ashamed, or she thinks that she shouldn't be feeling this way, so she rather tear it out. There could be many reasons, but yeah, so that's one of the an area that the counselor can work with her on to manage her thoughts, to reframe, and also to manage her emotions at the same time, like how to calm down. So there are many ways, like timeout corner could be one of the ways. Yeah, like breathing techniques. Some of them even like benefit from a calming jar. They'll just shake it and then they feel a lot calmer just seeing the glitter flowing down. So there are many techniques, and I think it's important that the counselor sees her on good days, not just when she's angry and then she's always sent to the school counselor to manage her anger. To her, it's like I'm always getting into trouble. And whenever she sees someone, it's because she has done something bad. So she has to learn also, like, you are seeing someone not only when you're misbehaving, but overall it's also to help you with your behavior and your learning in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she, you're right, because I think for her counseling sessions is during her PE periods, which is the class that she enjoys the most. So she recently, her mom has been saying that the counselor hasn't been getting to her because she does not enjoy going to for counseling anymore, because she's dropped off the PE time. Yeah, so
I think as well you've got a major task on your hands, because what will you have her for 2 hours a week?
yeah, 2 hours.
2 hours a week, and the counsellor will perhaps have her for an hour. So really she needs something which is more all-consuming. The other thing I thought about was, I don't know whether she's hit puberty or not yet, but that is going to be a time of trial and struggle for her anyway, even if she hadn't got problems. So she does need some help, I would have said pretty soon, and more intensive help that you can actually give her. So I would really endorse what, sorry, don't remember your name. So, say it again. Shi Jia is saying. Did I get that right? Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just go back to the reward system? So initially you said that she tore up the reward system.
Yeah.
And so did you resume that
Uh,
for
For
her?
that class, no, because ever since she didn't just tear it out, she tore it out and then she wrote, "I am bad, I want to die," and all
Okay,
those
right,
negative thoughts. So ever since then, it didn't motivate her to, it stopped working. So I am bad, I'm not gonna. She just has this. She internalized everything, and
okay.
she made it she made it. She attribute the whole cause to herself.
Right, okay.
So then,
I'm just wondering if we could actually, I think for kids like that, they tend to compare with the others.
Yeah.
So if we could make it a bit more subtle, like maybe not put it on the wall where everyone can actually compare the performances, maybe it will help, like if it's in their personal file. And then when they reach a certain point, they just come to you quietly for the reward. Alternatively, I would actually perhaps print it out again after a while. And I will put back the reward that she has earned initially. And I will tell her that your efforts are precious to me. So even though you do not value your own efforts, I do. And I think that would reassure her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is that children are very individual in what their rewards are. So I think we talked some time ago about a child that was fascinated by insects, and he could be rewarded by letting him have insects. So if you could find what that child's motivators were, then you could actually build in a reward system that was tailored to her rather than just a generalized reward system. It might be hunger. It might be that she needs some tiny bits of food very regularly. We actually worked with a child with porphyria in Sheffield, and their behaviour was put down to attention deficit, but it was actually porphyria, and they needed to eat at very regular intervals. And so it was only by, full day observation of that child that you could see the trigger points where they were actually hungry. I'm not suggesting you feed her until she bursts like a balloon, but that might be something which, if she feels hungry, that you could give her tiny rewards, healthy ones even.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, just one more point. I was also just thinking whether like she was tired after school, because sometimes, especially a day of like long lessons, they get very tired. So sometimes even when you have all the strategies in place, they cannot control their emotions very well, because by then they are so flat because of their battery, and they cannot manage their emotions. So that's something for considerations.
Okay. Thank you.
Have you got any contributions?
Does the floor have got any thoughts to share on this case?
Thank you. I would have to say something. Is this turned on? Yeah. You spoke about the 90% of the depth of a child that you don't see. It's not shown in the behaviour, which is all you do see. Have you any idea or ideas as to a cause or a number of causes for this behaviour? That it could be any of those things, or something not shown there, like abuse. Do you have ideas that you've not told us
Yes, so her mom actually remarried when she was of a young age, and if you look at so in the past she had difficulties adapting to new teachers. So every time, let's say from primary 2 to primary 3, they change classes and they change teachers, she would react very negatively and she would run out of classes and all that. And I think since she first came to me, she has had 4 or 5 different set of classmates because of different reasons, like classmates being shifted to other classes or like logistic reasons. So so I think that could be something that she faces, maybe, that when she has new faces coming in, or whenever she has new teachers and new faces, she has difficulties adapting to that. So that could be one of the reasons. And maybe she thinks that, because there's a change of classmates, it's because they can't stand her, or she doesn't realize that the reasons are not like personal. Yeah. So I think that could be one of the underlying. And I also think that she needs a lot of attention from a teacher that she doesn't receive in school, perhaps. So that's why she is manifested in my classroom.
Yeah, and you say she sees a counsellor. Now, is that counsellor a psychiatrist?
It's school counsellor.
A school counsellor, a psychologist, perhaps? Because I wonder with a child writing, "I want to die," is really very profound. And if she were to kill herself, then lots of people will be culpable. She could well be serious. I just wonder how those comments have been followed up. Is it possible for her to see
A psychiatrist?
I suppose that's something. Sorry, I suppose that's something we need to talk about with her mother. Yeah. One of the panelists mentioned reaching puberty. She's currently 10 years old. She will be reaching puberty soon. So I think that's another phase of worry for us when she reaches her puberty. So at this moment, I think we haven't really done that much on the statements that she's been writing. Yeah, but the suggestion to see a regular counsellor will be something that we can share with parents, with her mother primarily.
But she doesn't react well to the counsellor, does she?
The school counsellor, yeah. Currently she's seeing the school counsellor, but maybe the suggestion to see an external counsellor can be something that we share with mum for future.
Unusual for a child to say they want to die. So it is something that should be looked at carefully. But I also was interested to see that she can be kind and caring and polite to people she's in frequent contact with. So is that people like her mother, or could it be people like you as her tutor? I know you say she ignores you for a period of time, but is that a sort of almost friendly ignoring? Are you almost complicit in her ignoring you because you know that she needs to do that to settle down?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she will be back to normal, and she can be very sweet as well to other teachers that she sees and when she interacts with them.
Yeah.
So she does have that side that she's nice towards others. Just that when she ignores me, I know that it's because she's probably not feeling it. She doesn't want to do any of the work that and I tell her that if you are not going to respond to me, I cannot talk to you. I will be just like talking to a wall. So she knows that, and I think as soon as she feels like she's ready to go back to a task, she would be back on it.
Yes.
So I think she's aware that she knows, she is aware that she's not speaking to me and she's not answering me, and I cannot do anything about it.
It could almost be a sort of safety strategy for her. So rather than unleashing the emotion and the anger, she's going into herself. But whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know.
Like not taking it out on me and just
out on others, but in a way she's internalising it more.
I think basically she has learned some strategies to manage her emotions, but it's not enough. It will probably be enough if she's just mildly frustrated or angry, but when she's tired on a bad day and there are things that happen in school, then she might not be able to manage very well. And that's why I recommended like her to go and see someone external, be it a counselor, a psychologist, or psychiatrist, probably a counselor or a psychologist, because I think psychiatrists in Singapore tend to prescribe more medications than to see them for long-term therapy. That's the system here. And the counselor can work with her on her like negative self-harm thoughts, stuff like that. So I think she has learned some strategies, and she wants to behave well. It's just that she cannot manage. So it's how we adjust the environment and equip her with some strategies to help her to better manage what she has to do. The example of her tearing up the reward chart, right? It means that she really wanted to perform, and I always say that children are very simple. They aim to please adults. If they can do well in something, they will. They won't purposely, intentionally do something bad to provoke the teachers, unless they have any other underlying conditions. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else from the floor? Has anyone else had experience of this sort of issue? They're going, no, thank goodness I haven't. You were going to speak. Oh, no, you're about to speak anyway, aren't you? Yeah, I think we have two more people at the front here who have plenty to say on this.
Maybe the others have got questions for the next two cases.
Okay.
So I'll thank you, Ms. Lin. I'd like to invite Ms. Rebecca
Thank you very
next.
much.
So Ms. Rebecca is our educational therapist at Ang Mo Kio Centre, and she'll be sharing about her student.
Good afternoon to everyone. Okay, so I'm going to share with you with regards to my student G. Okay, this student has been with me for the past 9 months, and I think I should elaborate a lot about her background because it really it really contributes to the behavior that I'll be sharing with you later. This girl actually stays in a children's home since the age of 4 because of the fact that her mom actually abandoned her when she was very young, and then her father is the only one who's actually taking care of her and the sister. And what happened is the father had cancer, was diagnosed with cancer, and cannot care for the children, so he had to actually rely on this children's home to take care of the children. And she had multiple caregivers like her uncle and aunties, and but they were not in good terms with the father, so she had to adapt to changes, like even with her own relation, she had to adapt to a lot of changes from person to person. So as you know, when you're in children's home, not a particular caregiver is there always, so she needs to adapt to new people at all time. Okay, so she has very few friends because of the fact that she doesn't like to open up and speak up to people, and she doesn't really trust people much because she thinks that they are eventually going to leave her one day. And she had a lot of marked difficulties in learning in school, and which was brought up in school as well. And for example, poor word recognition, reading and spelling. She had very little attention span, and she takes a long time to complete any task. Like she gets bored with tasks very easily, and she doesn't have the motivation to complete her tasks. She has difficulty remaining engaged to any academic task, especially when it comes to writing. Okay, she had attended DAS preschool, and it was highlighted by the center managers and preschool educational therapists that she can be a challenging student in terms of handling her behavior. She did display ADHD tendencies, and she takes time to adjust to new environment and people. So she has a lot of the background actually plays a very important role in the way she behaves and the way she actually adapts to the environment. Okay, so when she actually first joined me, there was it was a big challenge to actually gain her trust. Initially, she did not even want to enter the classroom. She just did not like me. She didn't even get close to me. She was like, she always wanted her caregiver to follow her into the classroom. So it took me at least a good 2 to 3 months to get into her good rapport. And she had very inconsistent behavior. So the initial stage was really very quiet. And then, so what I did is, I tried to actually gain her trust by actually getting close to her, trying to get her to open up to me and share her feelings with me. But again, it was she did not trust me that easily. So it took me quite some time to get close to her. So I always had this caregiver to follow her, accompany her into the classroom with me. After slowly I had a few icebreakers with her and all that. She slowly started to open up with me, but I did not gain her full trust. What happened is, at that point of time, the father was also having a critical condition in hospital as well. He was going for the cancer treatment, and so she was kind of affected by it because she could not see her father very often. And then she started displaying this kind of behavioral issues. For example, she will just get into the center and say that I'm not going to go into the classroom today. I don't feel like doing anything today. So even the whole 1 hour, it can be like I'm just standing at the entrance there trying to convince her to get to the classroom, and then she will just act up. So her acting up can actually, one of the worst act up was she actually kind of hit the caregiver who actually followed her and said that she did not want to enter the classroom. So yeah, we will show the video first. Okay, so this is one of the Okay, so while they are trying to set up, just a background about the video, this was one of the day that she actually wanted to use the iPad. She's not picking up. I told you already. She's not picking up. I told you already. One Auntie Ben. Auntie Ben is one of the caregivers she's close to. Yeah. And then, yeah, this is a video of her tearing down the entire notice board in my center. All because that she wanted to use the iPad for the entire lesson. So I actually told her that she can use it only at the last 10 minutes of the lesson because of the fact that we have something else planned for her. So she got very upset. She ran out of the classroom. She started hitting me and one more of my colleague. And then she started kicking us, and then she came out of the classroom and she started tearing down our entire notice board. And we have pictures of her, like she actually rampaged the entire classroom. She threw all my stationery, she kicked all my table, my chairs and everything. So it was one of her very bad day. Go to the previous slide, okay? Can you go to the good days first? Okay, so these are pictures featuring the good days. So when she's in a good mood, she's actually able to do a little bit of maybe 10% of the lesson plan. But however, she gets bored very easily. So she doesn't want to complete a task. So when there's a, like for example, spelling, it has to be done using like Play-Doh, doing it on the board. She doesn't really like to write. When it comes to writing, she's totally task avoidant. And on good days, I at least can finish 10% of the lesson. However, she still gets very agitated when when I insist that she needs to read, or even like impromptu reading, like I'll just ask her randomly, okay, so what do you think that is what can you just try to read out that word? So she'll be like, no, I don't want to read. So when I ask her, why don't you write the word to for me? Then she'll be like, no, I'm not going to use the pencil. I don't want to use the pen. So she just totally refuses to do anything to do with academic tasks.
The social case manager, I did ask whether when she misbehaved, if I could hug her, because I used to work with ASD kids, and sometimes when they misbehave, we were allowed to hug the kid from behind to sort of give them that sense of calm, so that they would calm down. But according to the case manager, they do not touch the students, the children at the home. Yeah, so I don't want to interfere in the at the time, because the caseworker was there also at the center, so we were mostly like stand back. We stood back and allowed the caseworker to handle her when she was staring down the
But the
board.
caseworker was there leaning on the wall, on the...
Yeah, she was trying. She was
completely
trying to.
ignoring that child.
So
The child needed a hug. They needed some
yeah. So that was what I thought, but I don't want to do that because I don't really know this child very well. And when I asked that question to the caseworker, we went down to the home, she told us that they do not touch the children. So on one hand, I was glad I didn't do it, but on the other hand, if we could have done something, or if I could have done something, maybe something different might have happened. Yeah, but the caseworker was trying to call the father at that time because she's afraid of her father. The student is afraid of her father.
They did
Yeah.
So they actually eventually did a video call with the father. So that's what actually calmed her down. So, but the thing is that the father is not going to be around that long. So you shouldn't be relying too much on this figure to actually calm her down. You see, and also if you look at the video, she'll be asking for Auntie Ben because she's very close to this the caregiver. And what this caregiver does is, I've noticed that whenever she feels very angry, she will actually hug her and and calm her down. So she has her way of calming her down, and somehow she gets settled down when this caregiver accompanies her to the center. So we actually brought it up to the social worker as well to say that when we realize that there's these two caregivers, when they accompany her, she's very calm, and whenever there's a new caregiver who comes in, she acts out. So that also contributes to the way she actually acts in the center. So this has been addressed as well, and they said that these caregivers have their own schedule in their home as well. They will try their level best to actually send the caregiver to accompany her to the center, the one that she's actually close with. So hopefully that helps as well. Yeah.
Okay, I think our cases are very interesting. I'm sorry, but do we have to stop? Yeah, there's only 1 minute left. Do you have a question or do you have a suggestion?
Okay, so the home actually, she used to watch Bible stories in the home before she actually knocks off. But what they did is, the consequence she had to face is they actually took off the iPad time from her from the home for a good 1 month period until she actually shows that she has improved in her behavior. So that's the consequence. And they also advised us not to give her the iPad. So she knows that she's actually having this iPad time taken away from her because of the fact that she behaves as such in the home. Okay, but she refused to apologize. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so if there's no other question, I'll hand over.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rebecca. All right, we don't have time for the third case study. I think the session is just getting more exciting as we move along the second case. Just to show you briefly the picture of the third case, if we could have talked about it. This is another interesting one, but I'm afraid we can't. Okay, so yeah, it's a child whose behavior pushes you away. It's a child who needs connection before anything else. So with both cases that we've shared, are, like my colleagues have shared, these are the students who really need the attention from one person or a few people who are constantly there, but especially in the second case, different people are in her life, and therefore there isn't that sense of security for her. Okay, so some of the strategies that have helped our colleagues are like this kind of strategies. The panelists mentioned them earlier: calming strategies, breathing exercises, having having the students talk about their feelings either through writing in diary or drawing. They've been asked to talk about how they feel either at the end of the lesson, beginning of the lesson, or at the end of the lesson. They are also taught appropriate social skills. Apart from following instructions in the classroom, they should also listen to their teachers before they enter the classroom, because most of the time our students come and they have to wait before they attend lesson. Okay. So, Suja mentioned this earlier. It takes a village to raise a child, and Bronfenbrenner's bioecological model also explains that there are many different groups of people needed to help a child grow holistically. So over at the DS, what has helped is that we've got very dedicated, committed, resourceful teachers who are willing to put in a lot of effort to work with our students. So you heard earlier, Ms. Rebecca went down to the home to talk to the case workers about this particular student. A lot of conversation go on between Ms. Lin and the first student's mother to talk about how mom can help with home and the liaise between school teacher and with herself at the DS. Similarly, with our third case study, which unfortunately we can't share, a lot of conversation went on between my colleague and the student's mother to have some consistency between what happens at home, whether it's the reward system that's happening at home, and to do the same in the center. Okay, so apart from the teachers, the parents and guardians have been very cooperative. The parents that we work with in both cases have been very cooperative. The home case workers and social workers have also been very cooperative with our EdT. And last but not least, the setting that we have for these students, because they need to be in a smaller class of either one-to-one or maybe just one other classmate, requires the center managers to accommodate to such placement. So center managers have also helped in this way, because ideally we should have a class of 4 or 5, but with these students, they really need that attention from their teachers, so a class of 1-to-1 is accommodated too. Okay, so lastly, to end on a positive note, so keep calm and don't stress out. Every cloud has a silver lining, and there's always sunshine after rain. We do have success stories in the intensive remediation. So student R here, he's currently in Sec 1. Last year, at the end of the year award ceremony, he received an excellence award from school, because he exemplified excellence, the qualities of excellence in the school. Student W here, he's a student with ASD, currently 15 years old. He's been selected to be a member of the student council in school. So that shows how much of a good quality he has to be a role model to every other student in the school. And of course, we do have students who have shown progress over time, but with most cases, just like the cases we have shared today, they are still a work in progress. We have bad days and good days, but we always take the good days to remind us that no matter what bad days we face, there will always be good days ahead. So, yes. So before we leave this room, I would like to have everyone remember what Rita Pearson says. Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists they become the best they can possibly be. So it may not take a year or two to work to achieve this with our students. It probably takes 3 to 4 years, but I'm sure we will be quite successful one day with our students.
I'd like to thank you very, very much for these beautiful presentations. And I also like to say that I've worked all over the world and I never see the level of care and attention and love that you give to these children. And congratulations, carry on. You're absolutely fantastic, DAS. Thank you.